Hey everyone, welcome back to yet another episode of Building It Up with Bertelsmann, India's first podcast that focuses on the growth stories of Indian startups. Today, I do not have a tech entrepreneur. I do not have someone who's even run his own business in the true sense of it, if I may say so, but is possibly one of the finest comedians that this country has seen. Tanmay Bhatt, the former founder of AIB, or rather the founder of former AIB. What I want to spend time with Tanmay today is his fascinating look of how content plays such a critical role in a startup success and growth story. I could not think of someone better than him because he comes in with a very Puritan, objective, first principles view of how content can truly change lives. And he did that remarkably through AIB and all the other projects that he's done. And in today's conversation, we just spend time in discovering how he thinks about content and how startups can gain from it. Thank you so much, Tanmay, for joining us on this podcast. It's a
Anytime.
pleasure to have you, man.
I'm excited.
I am excited too.
I'm
I'm
excited
excited
to
too.
regurgitate Naval Ravikant's gyan and make it seem
all,
like it's mine.
all the wisdom that you've gathered over the
Yeah.
last year or so. But let's go back. So you are someone who came on stage, and I would not use the word, but let me just do that.
Just
You
say it.
literally created the stand-up comedy scene in the
I
country.
didn't create it, to be fair. Stand-up comedies in India has been around for many, many decades.
Okay.
I was part of the first generation of English stand-up comedians.
Yes.
English language stand-up
I stand
comedians.
corrected
Yeah,
with that.
yeah.
And you popularized it to a massive extent.
I think we were the first guys to get to mainstream internet comedy, I would say.
Yeah.
I think we became bastions of free speech in the process of doing so. So now we've gotten cemented, almost like the Bisleri of internet comedy now. मुझे AIB type का कुछ चाहिए is what I hear other creators hearing now.
And how did AIV happen? How did you get together, all four of you?
So the germ, so there's a comedian called Gursimran Khamba,
Yeah.
all right, who's co-founder of AIB. वो Bombay shift हो रहा था, and I went to watch him. Then we went out for a drive that night, and he said, "Do you want to do a podcast together?" I said, "Yeah." Khamba was an immensely funny comedian, so I was like, "I'll do anything with you, sir." So we started doing this podcast, and then Rohan and Ashish, I was very close to them because we were working with Veer Das at that point, and we were just thinking, when our powers will combine, can we sell an auditorium? Or all we wanted to do was sell an auditorium, because at that time Veer Das was the only comedian selling our auditoriums. So we said कि हम सबके 10,000 follower at Twitter पे, if we all combine, maybe we can do one. And we did. And then OML came into the picture. They said, you guys should get on YouTube. And then we made a video. It got 5 million views. We were like, instead of getting validation from 800 people, it's so much better when it can be scaled using tech. So then we started doing YouTube. And then one thing led to it became an addiction to just keep finding new avenues to talk about things. And
And this would be what I would admit the first True Blue content-led startup.
I mean, TVF was before us, to
Okay.
be entirely fair. TVF, you would watch TVF videos, TVF had done, I think, about 10-15 videos before us.
Got it.
It was the numbers they would do is what also made us feel like, oh, we can do this, but we're not going to do the same thing. We have our own flavor to it.
True.
So I think our credit to Arunabh Kumar where it's due. They were the first guys to find the potential of doing comedy on the internet that was different from what happened on television. We just happened to blow up, and we were bold enough that our brand became this sort of thing that started defining it.
Got it. And in the journey, I'm sure you would have learned a lot about digital distribution, content, how does it play a part, what provokes, what
Yeah.
gets excitement, and so on and so forth. But of course, until then, it was just limited to you and AIB and building that.
Yeah.
At any point of time, was AIB then doing stuff to help brands use what you had learned?
So not unless monetized very heavily.
Sure.
Big learning with AIB was, unlike a lot of other creative art forms, like making videos is one of the most expensive ways of expressing yourself. The feedback loop was a lot shorter in today's day and age. We would be able to put out a video every couple of weeks, and then social media happened. When Instagram happened, we were able to put out 10 content pieces a day. And when your feedback loop is extremely small is when you really learn what an audience wants and what clicks with an audience. We began as comedians on Twitter, where your feedback loop is like 20 times a day you could put out. It began with that to then expand to a different medium, and then eventually came back to social media. So it helped me understand what works with an audience fairly quickly. And once your feedback loop is extremely small, it's your judgment that becomes so strong that you're able to tell between a good and a bad idea that saves you time, etc., etc., etc.
What you spoke about, and I found fascinating, is that you feel that there is somehow a bridge that needs to be created between Bangalore and
100%.
Bombay, right? Because there's just positive attributes of both sides that can leverage each other.
Yeah.
And what you came back with is content can be such a powerful mover in a startup's journey, and they just do not see it because they're not in that crowd.
They're
They
not
just
that
see
crowd.
money, money, money. तो एक ad चला दो, एक newspaper, एक air.
They don't
Instagram
realize
post.
the importance of what content can do for you and the brand.
Yes.
And content not just in terms of ads. You can hire an agency to give you a campaign for 30 days. I'll give you a great example is, let's look at Zomato, right?
Yeah.
Let's look at what Dipinder got with Akshar Pathak. Every time you talk to anyone, the Zomato is the one example that keeps popping up as this is the brand that has figured social and etc. etc. Why is Zomato so top of mind today? Because of consistency since day one. Akshar Pathak was part of one of the earliest founding teams at Zomato. He's been there for years. He left and he came back to Zomato. What does that tell you? If you have that one person from early days, is when your brand can truly. 2 campaigns are not going to make your brand. 3 campaigns are not going to make your brand. You have to be consistently on it for years.
Yeah.
The early days used to be like a big leverage was capital. Today a big leverage is attention.
Correct.
And I think it's time that CMOs need to make way for like MBAs need to make way for eccentric artists to come in and be like, we are part of this, because artists are obsessed with detail. It's that sort of stuff that really over a long term it makes an impact. I think at a VC level, every time a VC is funding a startup, they should if there was a Yellow Pages book of 1,000 copywriters, each of whom had given a copy test that you could access immediately, I would suggest every VC to look at a founder or 2 founders, be like, hire one of these creative guys now, make them a part of all your decision making now, because it will pay off in 2 years. Instead of just working on product, instead of just doing this and then eventually going to an agency and being like, ab tum log campaign banao. It's too late. By then it's too late.
And someone doesn't own that story and that journey at all. Like they're just coming in, getting paid and leaving.
Because you don't understand that people think creative, at least, especially copywriters, right? Copywriters they're generally creative. Like 2 of head writers at AIB, they were ex-copywriters from agencies, right? They came in and within a year, I was able to mold them into becoming sketch writers. Now they're writing movies and one of them has founded his own news company now.
Wow.
So because they realize the potential that, I'm a thinker, I can mold myself to do whatever I want.
Correct.
And I spent time in Bangalore. I thought I was a comedian. But when I went there, I realized I have great insights to pitch for products, for marketing, for UI and UX, and what can I do that can bring more people into top of funnel. And it just needs someone needs to talk to me in a language that I understand. That's it. Most creative people are called in at a time where most decisions are already made. And now you communicate this to the public. No, fill your company with artists. This is what Kunal also says a lot. Yeah. He's like, fill your company with artists, because then your product will become an art piece, which I see a lot, which I don't see a lot of. Like, I find it fascinating. I was doing some social media work for one of India's top 5 well-funded, massive company. Right? And I was helping them out with social, and 4 or 5 of the ideas that I pitched, it was for the first time they were seeing true virality. And then I asked them, what are you paying your social media agency? They said, we're paying them 2 lakhs a month and this is all that we can pay you. I was like, are you insane? Are you crazy that you're paying them 2 lakhs a month? Do you understand the amount of attention they're bringing you? How can you pay someone that little for... So that's when I went like, you guys don't get it. You won't get it. And I met a bunch of founders in Bangalore also where I was like, you got to start thinking content first from your platform. You are no longer just delivering food or getting cabs or whatever else that is. You got to start thinking content first from the platform. And I think a lot of venture guys don't get it. I think a lot of founders don't get it. That's the difference, that when you blend right brain and left brain together. Right?
And what in your opinion, if you were to be prescriptive, if I may use the word, for our listeners, The trouble is that most of the founders are from an engineering background. They're meant and trained in bits and bytes, 0 and 1. There is no continuum. There is no gray. It's always right or wrong. So they don't inherently get it. So then is your advice, fill your team with the complete opposite end of the spectrum. But how does one, and that's where the practical challenge is, how does one come to terms with that very different mindset? Because it will be a conflict, right? It will be friction in some sense. And then is it like...
It's not. I'll tell you. I think the sentence that Kunal uses often is, find people in your team who know how to get applause from an audience. Right? Because sometimes you can't explain gut. Sometimes when you have an artistic bent, you just know why one idea is better than the other. That is important. If that filter can be applied at every decision making, that is really great. Man, the key to hiring team, one of the key things is to find people who aren't rigid, right? Like it's when creativity meets pattern finding is when truly big macro ideas come about. That combination is rare and it's hard. And as founders, I think your job is to, it's like you're trying to make this magic formula, right? Your job is to find the perfect mix and keep experimenting, get out of the way and find the next problem to solve.
What are your predictions for content and content marketing in the country? Like if you were to stand here today as an advisor or consultant to companies, where should they be placing their bets in the next 5 years or for the next 5 years?
Oh,
how should they be thinking about things? Or let's start with, how do you think about things?
I think the advertising agency model is going to start getting questioned very soon.
That's such a happy thing to hear.
Yeah. I'm surprised that it's still here. I'm surprised that there are still 5 middlemen between what should cost you 20 lakhs to make is costing 5 crores to make. I'm surprised. Why? I think every company needs to have an in-house dedicated creative team. Social media is going to play a far more, like Facebook and Google will get people in. But eventually to keep them hooked, you need to start getting better at social. Again, social media agencies are going to become a thing. Influencers, I think more and more influencers are going to get smarter in the coming years. I think the tech world and the entertainment world are slowly coming together. And I think the people who manage to get this thing faster, there's a lot of money to be made there.
Does influencer marketing work in India? Or is it just...
It's not immediate results driven. If you're looking for results to come in immediately, no. Okay. The key to influencer marketing, which is what I keep telling brands, the key to influencer marketing is to find ideas that the influencer would want to do anyway. Most brands get this wrong. Most brands think, throw 10 lakhs at this person, they will do what I want to do. Sure. I said, no, if you find what they would want to do anyway, you can save 9 lakhs. I will happily take far little money. And if you had a creative team in-house that thinks, if you had artists in-house, they will tell you that ye main kyun karunga? I would never do this for myself. So I did this in the interim for the 6 months for a bunch of companies in Bangalore. I was being the client for other influencers. Because I was like, you guys, this person is not worth this much money and this activity is not worth this much money. Then I would propose ideas and I would call the influencer up. I'll be like, you should do this. By the way, I found you a brand that is willing to pay you to do this. And it was just such an easy negotiation.
That's smart.
It's way easier to get people to do that. So go to the place where go to high motivation ideas already, and that is what will get you views, and people need to build long-term relationship with artists as well. Like I think not enough influencers meet CEOs and or brand managers one-to-one. I don't think that happens. I think it's still especially, I don't understand. I was talking to influencers, by the way, also think very short-term. Like some of the most popular influencers I know, I'm like, have you gone and met the CMO of this company you've done 3 videos for? No. Why should I? I'm like, are you crazy? This is your business. This is a B2B business for you. Why are you not doing drinks with this person? Why are you not meeting this person? Why are you not? It's the same people moving around in the same bunch of brands in the same city. This person is the gate for all fucking money that's going to come to you. Why would you not do it? When the AIB YouTube channel was going on, we were making X crores a year of just 3 or 4 brands. It was just, I was very simple. There are 4 friends that I have. I will work with them. The ease of work, it'll be very easy to work with them because I spend time with them, and it's good money, and it's money that will be consistent because of the relationship that you build with them. Again, something that I learned from Naval itself, which is relationships also have compounding returns. Where I think a lot of artists they don't recognize it. They don't recognize how far this stuff can go.
What are the myths that you would break when it comes to content for startups and founders? Things that they think, oh yeah, absolutely that works, and they're like, fuck, no, it doesn't. Like, you're thinking it wrong. Anything that you've learned?
Oh, some of the myths. People think. I mean, this one is like people think virality is
A scientific process
is
that
a
can be bought
scientific.
by
Yeah,
money.
yeah. I'm like,
एक viral video बना देना.
एक viral video बना देना.
Sorry.
People assume that. People also they don't take enough shots. Like how do I say? Virality is consistent. Virality is a product of taking many shots of things that didn't go viral, right? I keep saying this to every founder. Also, you need to make your feedback loop faster. You need to do, if you're going to do 3 big campaigns a year, you need to do 15 small shit for you to eventually be like, this is where I put my money in. It's like when I'm thinking of a stand-up set, right? What I do is I tweet 5 things, I'll Instagram story 10 things, and then I'll be like, is this worth talking about? Is this thing worth spending time with? So it's the same for brand positioning also. Like if you're going to take 3 years, 3 years finalizing what your next venture is going to be, you are talking to 500 people to do that, right? So to recognize what your brand is going to be, you also need to do a lot of things. One of the other things is the people don't care about you as much as you think they do. They don't. They are scrolling and you come and you do your thing. Nobody cares about you. You have to do things for people to care. So if you're too afraid to do things, people will not care. Why am I thinking of Zomato examples? It really says a lot, dude.
It does.
It says a lot. There's so many examples of Zomato.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Like another myth, if I may say, people think is content marketing तो cheap, inexpensive होनी चाहिए. Like content marketing तो मतलब free में बनना चाहिए.
यार 10 लाख का 15 लाख होगा क्या फर्क पड़ेगा तुमको? वो 5 लाख में बहुत, like I'll give you, I was helping a founder with making a brand film for them, and it was costing them whatever, say 20 lakhs it was costing them. And I said, you know what would be cool? What if we did this whole thing in one take?
Sure.
Then I called the production guy and I said, how much would this cost you? I called the director. If you had to do it in one take. He said, it'll cost us 7-8 lakhs more is my estimate. I called the founder. I said, 8 lakh rupees aur kharchte, you will get higher retention on this. Just trust me, it'll look better. Immediately, yes. And this was a good founder who got it. Who got the value proposition I was saying is that this will be magical. The difference between good, great and magical is a few lakh rupees that you shouldn't have to haggle for this stuff. That 5 lakh rupees will give you disproportionate returns. So yeah, a lot of people assume that. Also, I don't know, we're still in that mentality. TVC should cost 5 crores. Digital film should not be over. It's stupid.
Benchmarks set by someone else, and we just historically.
Benchmarks set by agencies for years now, because that is their bread and butter. 6 companies in the world that are
controlling everything.
They're controlling everything, and we still don't get a lot of decisions taken by brand managers. Like a lot of it is like, I don't want to do anything that can get me fired, or I need to do something to save my own ass. Which I think is not a good thing. You can't be creative in a fearful.
On that note, and tell me if you're okay answering this. Well, you should be. Do you think it's okay for brands to take strong, controversial stands where they shouldn't have any business taking? Like, should brands take stands on politics? Should they take stands on religion? Should they take stands on stuff that happens in the society? Or is it like, no, my job is to produce shoes, my job is to deliver food, my job is to make income statement, and I'll just stick to that, and if I do a good job, people will love me for the brand. जबरदस्ती खड़े होके नहीं मैं इसके साथ हूँ, मैं इसके साथ नहीं हूँ. Just your view.
Yeah, I think brands have to operate like people at this point, right?
They have to.
They have to operate.
And that is a strong suggestion that you...
Yeah,
you
brands have to operate like people.
Okay.
And when people make the news, I'll tell you, it's better to be hated than to not be worthy of being hated.
Got it.
Once you're hated, it can be turned into being loved quickly.
Acha.
This is an emotional country, right? And anyway, core thesis being, if you are being hated is better than not being worthy of being hated.
Okay.
What this means is being hated is if there is outrage about your brand, it only means your brand is something that people think will get them attention by outraging.
Got it.
That's not a bad thing.
Sure.
Okay. You are what the last news cycle is. But you need to have the confidence to know कि ये जाएगा और अगला वाला आएगा. So if brands operate this way, then they can be a little more fearless. This is my general thesis on this.
Sure.
Depends on what brand you are and at what stage of growth that you are at also. If there's a lot at stake, maybe be a little careful.
Yeah.
I would say if you're completely unknown, if there is something that blows up about you, relax. Don't worry. You can fix it. Yeah. This is a country that will...
shortest memory possible.
Shortest memory. I mean, that's not this country specific, but it's an emotional country, right? When a country reacts emotionally, when a country gets offended very easily, when a country it's a sign of insecurity, and when you get really offended, you're showing, here are all my buttons that you can press to get an emotional reaction out of me.
True.
So then you know what buttons you can press to get them to start loving you also.
But that's a powerful insight, man. And then on that note, thank you so much, Tanmay, for being part of this, man. This was honest. This was beautiful insights, and I'm sure the audience took a lot.